Hello and welcome. We're taking a deep dive today. Not literally, mind you, but into the fascinating and rather alarming world of one of the ocean's most curious inhabitants, the pufferfish. Don't let their somewhat comical appearance fool you. These underwater blimps are harboring a deadly secret. We're going to uncover 10 shocking facts about these seemingly innocent fish and discover why they pose such a threat to other sea life, and indeed, to us. We'll learn just how lethal they are and why, in some parts of the world, eating them is a risky delicacy. Welcome to our deep dive into one of the ocean's most fascinating yet dangerous creatures, the pufferfish. Today we'll uncover 10 shocking facts about why these seemingly innocent fish are a deadly threat to humans and other sea life. The pufferfish, also known as the blowfish, is a master of defense. When threatened, it can inflate its body to several times its normal size, making it difficult for predators to swallow. But that's not all. The pufferfish's skin and certain internal organs contain a potent toxin called tetrodotoxin. This substance is up to 1,200 times more poisonous than cyanide. Just a small amount of this toxin can be lethal to humans. In fact, there is no known antidote for tetrodotoxin poisoning, making the pufferfish one of the most dangerous creatures in the ocean. Despite the risks, pufferfish are considered a delicacy in Japan, where they are known as fugu. Only specially trained and licensed chefs are allowed to prepare fugu, as one wrong cut can mean the difference between a gourmet meal and a deadly poison. The preparation of fugu is an art form requiring years of training and a deep understanding of the fish's anatomy. Chefs must carefully remove the toxic parts while preserving the delicate flavor of the meat. So, the next time you see a pufferfish, remember that this seemingly harmless creature is one of the ocean's deadliest marvels. Its unique defense mechanisms and the deadly toxin it carries make it a fascinating subject of study and a reminder of the ocean's hidden dangers. Stay tuned as we continue to explore the mysteries of the deep and uncover more about the incredible creatures that inhabit our oceans. The pufferfish's deadliest weapon is invisible to the naked eye. This seemingly harmless creature, with its cute round body and big eyes, harbors a secret that is both fascinating and terrifying. Hidden within its tissues is a potent neurotoxin that has intrigued scientists and terrified those who have come into contact with it. It's a poison called tetrodotoxin, and it's utterly terrifying. This molecule is a marvel of nature, a complex structure that can wreak havoc on the human body. Found not only in pufferfish but also in some other marine animals, tetrodotoxin is a defense mechanism that has evolved over millions of years. Imagine something 1,200 times more toxic than cyanide. Yes, you heard that right. Cyanide, a substance notorious for its lethal properties, pales in comparison to tetrodotoxin. This comparison alone should give you an idea of just how dangerous this toxin is. Now stop imagining it, because it's real and the pufferfish is swimming around with a body full of it. These fish, often seen gracefully gliding through coral reefs, are like tiny floating arsenals. They carry enough poison to kill several humans, yet they move with such grace and tranquility. To put that into perspective, a tiny dose, just 2 milligrams of tetrodotoxin, is enough to kill a fully grown human. That's an amount so small it's almost inconceivable. Just a few grains of this substance can cause fatal consequences, making it one of the most potent toxins known to man. That's less than a grain of sand. Imagine something so small, yet so deadly. It's a humbling reminder of the power of nature and the delicate balance of life and death. And there's no known antidote. This is perhaps the most frightening aspect of tetrodotoxin. Modern medicine has yet to find a way to counteract its effects, leaving those who are poisoned with very few options for survival. What makes this poison so deadly? It's not just its potency, but the way it works. Tetrodotoxin targets the nervous system, disrupting the communication between nerves and muscles. It attacks the nervous system, essentially shutting your body down bit by bit. The toxin binds to sodium channels in nerve cells, blocking the transmission of signals. This leads to a cascade of failures throughout the body. First to go are the muscles. Without the ability to receive signals from the brain, muscles become paralyzed. This paralysis starts in the extremities and quickly spreads. Paralysis sets in, and quickly. The victim becomes unable to move, speak, or even breathe on their own. It's a terrifying and helpless state to be in. Then your breathing slows, your heart struggles to keep up, and, well, you can guess the rest. The body's vital functions begin to fail, leading to a rapid decline in health. All of this can happen within hours of ingesting the toxin. The speed at which tetrodotoxin acts is both shocking and deadly, making it one of the most feared substances in the natural world. You'd think that with a risk factor that high, people would steer clear. Not a chance. The allure of fugu is simply too strong for many to resist. It's not just about the taste, it's about the entire experience, the thrill, and the story you get to tell afterward. In Japan, pufferfish, or fugu as it's known, is a highly prized delicacy. This fish, with its almost cartoonish appearance, hides a deadly secret. The liver, ovaries, and skin contain tetrodotoxin, a poison that is 1,200 times more lethal than cyanide. Highly trained chefs, who undergo years of rigorous training and licensing, are the only ones allowed to prepare it. This training is no small feat. It involves learning the precise techniques to remove the toxic parts without contaminating the meat. They must carefully remove the toxic organs, which, let's be honest, sounds like an accident waiting to happen. One small slip, one tiny mistake, and the consequences could be fatal. The chefs take this responsibility very seriously, knowing that their skill and precision are what stand between their diners and potential disaster. Even with these precautions, there are still cases of fugu poisoning every year. The symptoms can be terrifying: numbness, dizziness, and in severe cases, paralysis and death. Hospitals in Japan are well prepared for such emergencies, but the risk remains ever present. Some people are willing to risk it for the thrill, the sense of cheating death. For them, eating fugu is not just about the food. It's about the adrenaline rush, the bragging rights, and the unique experience that few dare to try. The experience is said to be like a tingling numbness that spreads through the body. This sensation, while alarming to some, is part of the allure for others. They describe it as a unique, almost otherworldly feeling that adds to the mystique of fugu. Not exactly my cup of tea, I must say. The idea of flirting with death over a meal doesn't quite appeal to me. I prefer my dining experiences to be a bit more predictable. I'd rather stick to a nice bit of cod, thank you very much. It's safe, delicious, and doesn't come with a side of potential paralysis. To each their own, but for me, the perils of fugu are just not worth the risk. What makes tetrodotoxin so terrifying is the speed at which it works. It doesn't hang about, oh no. This poison targets the sodium channels in your nerves. Think of these channels as messengers, carrying vital signals from your brain to the rest of your body. Tetrodotoxin blocks those messages, effectively cutting off communication. The result? Paralysis. And not the gradual kind. We're talking rapid, complete shutdown. Muscles stop working, you lose control of your limbs, and then your respiratory system starts to fail. It's a terrifying thought, isn't it? To be completely aware of what's happening, but utterly powerless to stop it. Chapter 4. A Toxic Family Affair. Tetrodotoxin across the species. There are over 120 species of pufferfish, and here's the kicker. Many of them carry this deadly toxin. It's like a family business, passed down through the generations. And they don't discriminate when it comes to where they store it. Liver, ovaries, intestines, skin, you name it, they've got it. Some species are more toxic than others naturally. It's a bit like a game of Russian roulette, only with your life. You never quite know how much poison you're going to get. But here's the thing, even the less toxic species can still pack a punch. So it's best to admire them from a safe distance, wouldn't you say? Chapter 5. The Incredible Hulk of the Ocean, a Deadly Defense Mechanism. Pufferfish aren't just filled with poison, they're masters of self-defense. If threatened, they puff themselves up into a ball several times their normal size. It's quite a sight, actually. They gulp down water, transforming themselves into a spiky, inedible balloon. Predators are often startled by this sudden transformation, giving the pufferfish a chance to escape. But that's not all. Their spines, which lie flat when they're not puffed up, become erect and sharp, like tiny daggers. And guess what? In some species, those spines are also coated in toxin. Talk about adding insult to injury. It's a brilliant, if somewhat alarming, survival tactic. Chapter 6. You Are What You Eat. Environmental Toxin Sources. Here's a fascinating twist in the tale of the toxic pufferfish. They don't actually produce tetrodotoxin themselves. They're like little poison factories, but without the manufacturing plant. Instead, they accumulate the toxin from bacteria in their diet. Think of it as a rather extreme form of bioaccumulation. This means that a pufferfish's toxicity can vary depending on its environment and what it eats. Those living in areas with higher concentrations of toxic bacteria will naturally be more poisonous. It's a delicate balance, this relationship between pufferfish and their toxic meals. One of the most insidious things about tetrodotoxin poisoning is the delayed onset of symptoms. You could ingest a lethal dose and not feel a thing for hours. No nausea, no dizziness, nothing. It's a cruel trick, really. You might think you've dodged a bullet, that you've escaped unscathed. But the reality is far more sinister. Those initial hours are crucial. It's the window of opportunity to get medical attention, to flush the toxin from your system. But without any warning signs, precious time slips away. By the time the symptoms do appear, tingling lips, numbness, paralysis, it's often too late. The poison has already taken hold. You might think that with their deadly arsenal, pufferfish would be at the top of the food chain. And you wouldn't be entirely wrong. Most predators know better than to tangle with these toxic puffballs. Sharks, for instance, have been known to spit them out after a tentative nibble. Birds, too, tend to steer clear, having learned the hard way that these fish are not a good meal. But there are always exceptions to the rule. Some larger fish, and even some sea snakes, have developed a tolerance to tetrodotoxin. They can make a meal of a pufferfish without succumbing to its deadly effects. It's a reminder that in the natural world, there's always someone bigger and badder. In regions where pufferfish are a culinary delicacy, the risks are carefully managed. Chefs are highly trained, regulations are strict, and every precaution is taken to ensure the safety of diners. But accidents can still happen. Even the most experienced chef can make a mistake, a slight nick of the knife, a tiny slip of the hand, and suddenly, a lethal dose of tetrodotoxin is released into the meat. It's a chilling thought, isn't it? To think that one tiny error could have such devastating consequences. And it's not just chefs who are at risk. Fishermen who catch and clean pufferfish are also vulnerable to accidental poisoning. One wrong move, and they could be handling a deadly weapon. The dangers posed by pufferfish have not gone unnoticed by authorities around the world. In many countries, selling or preparing pufferfish is heavily regulated, or in some cases, outright banned. The risks, they argue, are simply too high. It's a sensible precaution given the potentially fatal consequences. But as with any banned substance, there's always a black market. Pufferfish, with its reputation as a risky delicacy, has become a sought-after commodity. Illegal fishing and consumption continue, driven by demand and a disregard for the law. It's a dangerous game, this trade in toxic fish, and sadly, it's one that continues to claim lives. So, there you have it, the pufferfish. A marvel of evolution, a master of defense, and a deadly risk to any creature, including us, foolish enough to underestimate it. They're a potent reminder that the natural world is full of wonder, but also danger. Pufferfish are a deadly mix of biological defense and natural toxicity, making them one of the ocean's most dangerous animals to humans and predators alike. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more fascinating facts about the wonders of the ocean.